In my last video, I showed you how the deck can be used by writers and game masters to develop a story's beginning. If you want, you can also use the deck to arbitrate pretty much the whole tale. There are actually many ways to do this. You can play an entirely narrative game where the only rules are the laws of good storytelling, or you can roll up characters in your favorite system and run them through a hack-and-slash adventure. In any game, the deck can serve to make impartial decisions, provide random encounters, and set up plot twists that the GM would normally handle. To demonstrate as many things as possible in a short time, I'm going to run this as a highly narrative game that still uses a 20-sided die to make important rolls, but does not have a pre-written conclusion. To recap where we left off, I created the basic setup using the cards. On a long-distance no-stops train ride, the main character hears someone attacked and discovers the victim is a man named Tracy, who appears to be a remorseful scam artist selling counterfeit rare coins. My character is going to be a professional private detective who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. When rolling a d20, he gets +4 on things a detective would be good at. So let's begin. While moving down the train to grab a coffee in the cafe car, I hear a faint cry from ahead and open a connecting door to find a man on the shifting car connection walkway, alone. A quick check verifies he is still breathing. Now what? I pop my head into the next room. Is there any obvious criminal to chase? I figure the odds at this point are 50-50, and draw a card. No sign of someone fleeing. Alright, I turn back to the victim and see how he's doing. I know from the setup that he was clocked on the head, but how bad is the injury? I draw for the difficulty selector in the top left. 1 is about to wake up right now, while 10 is about to mutter his last words and then die. We get a 6, so he's knocked out, but probably not comatose. He might have a concussion, and his short-term memory might be fuzzy when he wakes up, but he's not bleeding everywhere. A good person would call for help right away, but I get curious. Searching him, I find 2 copies of a coin in sealed transparent plastic, each labeled, based on our setup's info, commemorative coin once owned by Thomas Jefferson, only one of its kind, verified by unintelligible signature. I also find his wallet and his cell phone. His wallet declares him to be Tracy Owen, or Owens, which sounds better. I check the cell. Is it a new model with an easily bypassed with unconscious body biometric lock? I give that good odds, since it fits the background. And since it is, I use good old Tracy's thumb to unlock his phone. The text messages pop up, sent to an unlisted number, saying something like, "I can't keep doing this. I don't like scamming people." Alright, so I've caught up with the opening. Now, what else can I find out about him by searching his wallet and phone? I draw a card for the 3 symbols on it. Out of the 10 possibilities, we get the tower, crown, and skull. Entirely narrative games might have you interpret these along thematic lines, but games with a specific set of plans would include a list, so I have one prepared. These are the sorts of things that are included in the adventure guides. Pause if you want to read them all, but the tower suggests a roadblock in the investigation, the crown something valuable, and the skull something highly ominous. Let's start with the skull. How about a threatening response to the text message? The phone beeps and a reply appears on the screen. "Back out now and you're a dead man." Is this from the same unlisted number as before? That seems likely. Yes, so I still have no name for this anonymous contact, who is obviously a suspect at the moment. Next, let's consider the crown. Is Tracy carrying a large amount of cash on his person? Even odds say no. In order to keep from getting stuck on one question, after a no, I usually go with the next best option automatically. Since I figure a counterfeiter would need something to copy, Tracy is also carrying a coin that is better packaged and unlabeled, but identical in appearance to the copies, probably the original. But that still leaves us with the roadblock to consider, so now the tower. Well, the most likely roadblock I can think of is being interrupted before I can either search his phone more carefully or wake Tracy up and question him. So what happens to interrupt me? Let's get creative. Time to draw for a random event. Pull 3 cards and look at a verb, adjective, and noun, 1 from each of them, in order. Here we have exchange hopeless defense. Great. Well, that looks pretty bad, and I think it has some obvious implications. If Tracy woke up and offered his own hopeless defense, that would actually help me, and because I'm looking for a roadblock here, it must be my hopeless defense instead. Does somebody walk in and assume the worst, when they find me crouched over an unconscious body, the victim's wallet and belongings spread out around me? When working at a random event, I don't usually draw for a yes-no answer unless I feel like I'm twisting the event in my favor. So yes, they do. And when I say, this isn't what it looks like, I have now exchanged my hopeless defense. Darn. If only I'd managed to get my coffee, maybe I could have thought of something better. But since this is an RPG, I do have a chance to save myself, so I make a persuasion roll, difficulty 20. This is supposed to be hopeless after all. Add my +4 bonus, and 8. Nope, 12 isn't 20 or higher. And so, as this poor bystander starts screaming bloody murder, we fade to black. This could continue on in many ways, but hopefully you get the idea. My 3rd video in the series will jump ahead a bit and explain how you can use the cards to wrap up a story like this in which random elements replace human planning, without making the conclusion unfair or arbitrary. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.